And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to APAC North. FNATIC versus Guts Gaming is about to begin. A huge day for both of these organizations and these players and teams as Guts recover after a couple of losses and FNATIC try to maintain after a very surprising victory against Cyclops, given their current form. Hap Fluke, welcome back to the Analyst Desk. So great to have you on here. Can we talk about the overarching story for this? Because technically, FNATIC would be a Japanese team had things been a bit different in the world.
Well, yes, they would have been. They would have moved last year already, right? But you know, it keeps on being postponed, and it keeps on being postponed. Just like us moving to the studio, you know, like
don't get me started on that one.
We're also waiting for it to happen. So.
Like
you know, it's a bit unfortunate.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's been some major sort of lockdown or pandemic, but you're right. And
really?
Yeah, it is a tough situation for them, but it's one of those things where they've moved north. They've put themselves in a bit of a presence, and they found a win in their last game. And you're looking at Guts, who I think everyone expected a little bit more from them. And this game for them could define, I think, how the rest of the season might go.
Fluke, I think you were talking about the Division storyline, right? Is that what's been happening? Everybody's playing Division 2 for the past year, so that explains why we haven't been able to go to the studio. FNATIC versus Guts, let's talk about the lineups and going with Guts first. Our Japanese squad is ready to go, and the bull really needs to show its horns today. They lost for C9 in day 1. They recovered against Talon in day 2, but then 2 losses. One big one against Cyclops, their big rivals in Japan, and against Damwon Gaming Kia in our last Playday. Can they recover today?
I think that's one of the things I was about to say about Guts is, okay, sure, they haven't had the best start, and it's really hard to gauge how they're playing because, okay, 3 of the teams out of the 4 that they've played, that's 1, 2, and 3 on the board. That's C9, that's Cyclops, and that's Talon. They also lost against DWG, Damwon Kia. They took a win against Talon, so it's really muddled and it's hard to define them. And I think that's the big problem with them right now is there was a lot of possibility for them to take advantage of the reduced team count inside the league, as obviously there was a separation between the two. But they've just seemed a bit shaky. They haven't quite been able to find that little bit extra, and it's not that anyone is strictly underperforming or overperforming. It's they're kind of on the level, and against all the other rosters where we're seeing one player spark everything up, it puts them on a bit of a back foot.
Well, their opponents, FNATIC, they've taken a bit of a page from the 7th Heaven book in South Asia, or APAC South here. And here they are, victorious, finally, after losing twice in a row in max OT, pretty much. And they beat Cyclops, of all teams.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah, after some close losses, they finally put a win on the board, and it might remind you of EUL Rogue, for example, and know what they are doing right now. They are absolutely flying, but yeah, the 5-loss streak has ended, and now the question is, can FNATIC continue this momentum that they might be able to build up? Are they going to be able to turn on the winning streak now, put themselves up in that top 4 position? Because we know that the playoffs is something these teams want to achieve. Top 4 is what you need for that, and these 2 teams, they are battling for it, so it's a really important matchup that is coming up.
Yeah, you want to move forward strike whilst the iron is hot, because Fav and FNATIC are now tied in points, 5-5, and Fav are playing against Cloud9 today, so this might be the perfect timing for FNATIC to come and strike and take that position. Even Guts victorious, if you're not counting overtime, we're talking about regular time, regulation time, then that position Fav is in can just go to shreds today, and both squads want to pounce on it. So a tie today, or not a tie, but an overtime game between these two, whilst it would be fun to watch, would be a very negative thing for these 2 squads. You want all 3 points if possible. Now, let's see our head-to-head. You guys picked 1 player out of each one of these 2 teams, and I am curious to see the 2 that you ended up with for today. It's JJ and Alfama, man. Oh, what a pretty sight.
Just taking a moment there, are you?
It's Alfama. I'm sorry. Plus JJ's hair on point. I love the the curliness of the, oh man, I dig it. It's been so long since most people have gone to the barber or to the hairdresser that just seeing well-kept hair is
having
incredible.
a little bit of a
I'm gonna
crush
be
here on
honest.
both these players.
Yeah, that's not why we wanted to compare them, though.
No.
Really?
Surprisingly.
Wow. There's more reasons.
We've gone instead with the situation of how much, I guess, they're offering to their teams. Obviously, they are, from a technical point, the two most recent additions. In a way, Alpha are obvious. JJ, a little less. Obviously, they've been with the roster a while, but they only played 3 of the games in the previous split. They weren't quite dug in entirely. You're looking at this support structure. You're looking at them trying to influence how rounds go, and you know, JJ, he hasn't quite been able to step up to the level he did for those 3 showings that put him top of the team for his stats in the previous split.
And I quickly wanted to highlight Alphama, of course, because he has been that newest pickup. The one win they managed to round up on FNATIC at an 82% cost. That was against Cyclops, of course. And overall, he has a 70% cost. He's truly been an incredible pickup here for FNATIC, putting up a couple of clutches as well. Even gets the plants down, defuses down. Alphama really is one of the strongest players. I believe he's a second rated right now on the likes of FNATIC. So really a good pickup here for the team.
So good, an awesome import yet again from Europe, doing a lot of work, whatever region they end up landing in. So there it is. That was our head-to-head. Which map will we be playing on, as our lobby, I'm told, is ready. So we're going to kick off to it ASAP. FNATIC will ban Chalet and take us to Clubhouse, where Guts picked to start on defense. Not unusual, of course, FNATIC on the attack. Does this make sense? Is this the right decision?
Sort of. I guess it boils down to how much prep FNATIC have done. Obviously, we've seen it twice from Guts this season. They played it on their opener and lost it. That was against C9 and it was a close game. It was a 5-7. Then they played it against Talon and they won it 7-3 back-to-back. And then they've obviously had it as a break for a little bit. Chalet is an unknown entity for now from their side. So I guess entirely this is FNATIC saying, well, we know what you do on this map. You don't know what we do, so let's see who can do the best.
Hap, you're here today. Last time you were not, and FNATIC won. Do you believe that you're jinxing them?
I just literally sent a website with all kinds of correlations and causations that proves it's not the case. So I don't think I'm the problem here, Milosh. No.
Just because it's on the internet, Hap, doesn't mean that it's real. I'm sorry to tell you.
It's real statistics. I'm just saying that. But I'm just gonna say I'm not the reason they're losing. All right, they're stepping up and actually came back at the moment they started winning their game. I don't want to say much, but I was not on the broadcast, but I was watching the game with you guys. So you know, like I don't see me being the problem here. Don't bully me, please.
No, we won't.
That's insecure.
That's no insecurities here, Hap. We're very inclusive on the show. Don't you worry. That is it, though. Hap, Fluke, thanks so much for being here. Before Hap's microphone ends up dying by the end of this broadcast, we're gonna kick it to our game very quick. FNATIC versus Guts, and we'll go to yet another Clubhouse for yet another call out. Let's take it to our casters. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milosh. We're here once again, Jess, and FNATIC and Clubhouse, man. This is a love story in the making. They seem to be obsessed with this map lately.
You know what? I won't blame them, considering there is a low win percentage rate on most of the maps in the entire competitive map pool, so you might as well find a love affair with one of them. I don't think, however, considering that the only stat I really have to go off since September is one match against Cloud9, that I have much to offer statistically for FNATIC for any of the viewers. However, on the other hand, if we're speaking about Guts, they love this map. So I do think it's one of those things that Desk put it best. A lot on Guts, not so much on FNATIC, but maybe that's going to bode quite well for FNATIC. You want to be that unknown entity, I think.
I think what pains me with FNATIC is they started off trying to play this last year against Scars. I remember they were, what, 5-0 up? We were like, man, Scars have been ruined. And then Scars bring it back to 7-5. And they kind of, dare I say, fell out of love with it and didn't really touch it again. And looking back over there, in fact, no, it was against Zav, I think it was, back at the very start. Xavier, when they were back in APAC North all that time ago. They haven't won this map since then. Although it is their third most played map behind Coastline and Concert, which you'll rarely see them on. They have banned this away a lot. Every time they've played it against Cloud9, Fav, Xavier, Giants, they have gone on to lose it. So not at all one of their best maps, but a map that they do seem to want to go to and test out every now and then again, given their playing history on it. Either way, let's get into these banzos. They've come through pretty quick here. Monty and the Maverick, the first two to step away, and Malusi, an operator that we seem to see in every single round of competitive Siege, is going to be removed from the field.
You know, it's surprising that it wasn't FNATIC to get rid of the Monty, considering the Monty on this particular map is the most banned operator by FNATIC. So I don't know why Guts turned around and said, hey, let's do your ban for you, give you a free ban. You also don't even run Monty on this map. So, hey, here's an even freer ban. I mean, I don't understand it. Maybe they just hate Monty and don't want to even risk it being like a pocket strat. Overall, FNATIC wouldn't have run it anyway, so seems a bit of a waste of a ban. Not going to be the double heart breach ban we've been seeing day after day after day this week, however. It'll just be the Maverick, and that means that both the Habana and the Thatcher are still in play, and as a result, they will bring the Thatcher with Mag and the Ace and the Thermite rather than the Habana. So for me, nothing's really changed, nothing out of the ordinary. A Go-Yo shield here and there, Surya Gates, and a 6-pick from the Echo over towards the Wamai. That's the only little bit of trickery, I think, here for FNATIC.
Just scream straight away as we're beginning on the downstairs floor that we aren't going to see too much in the way of aggressive roams out and around the map that have become very commonplace in APAC in general. This map in general, I think you expect to see a good number of teams running things like the Mute and the Mozzie in tandem. It still is kind of a very strong meta that a lot of teams are employing, admittedly now with some variation. It's like the old school SSG roam where you have the Castle, for example, the Vigil, and then often a Jaeger. You're seeing things like Catcam being brought along, or even a Rooney starting to fall into the fold at points too. But no, it's going to be much more of a site-heavy setup here with that kind of, dare I say, utility meta-style setup with the Goyo, the Wamai, the Jaeger, Smoke for the late-round denial, as well as the Arunis. Question is then for me, how well can FNATIC deal with this? Because looking across their utility lineup, I'm only seeing those 3 flashes coming through, and there's a lot for them to worry about clearing out throughout the map.
Well, they are a team known for doing sort of a dirt and kitchen hatch push. So we'll see whether or not that's stuck since I first saw them, you know, last year run it. And I thought to myself, okay, a lot of reliance on one side of the site, one side of the map. That's okay, but there's not a lot of roaming happening here for the likes of Guts. I'm looking for those outlines, but I see none so far for FNATIC. That will give them a lot of time to speed up this attack. And Speed is Lusty's middle name. He's in and he's making it all the way down main stairs. Live drone in front of him. Surely he catches a freebie as a result. I don't want to say he gets someone in moto for free just yet, but now that he's shot out one of his bullets, they'll know that he's close and he'll have to back on up and just hold this angle.
Yeah, the early drone work coming out of FNATIC, I think, giving them the agency to get inside nice and quick. And think about this, the number of times that we see teams get down to, I don't know, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and they're only just starting to set up for an execute. They've got 2 minutes to play with here to get themselves in position, given how fast Lusty has taken the key control of main stairs. They know no one can now play upstairs. They know they're all isolated downstairs on site itself. Guts have handed so much of this map's time over to FNATIC, and everything they do from here on is going to be completely at their own leisure. There's no contest. There's no real risk of a Roma, for example, because of the drone work they've done. Really well set up by FNATIC so far.
Well, Alpha Mars used both of his exothermics. He got open the moto hatch as his last usage there of his utility. And Tex, he still has all of his Selmas, so it'll be interesting to see exactly where he plans on using that. I did say that FNATIC at least used to go and deal with that kitchen hatch and the dirt push predominantly. Looks like they might change it up to go for a church push instead. I think that's why Tex will try and open up these walls. My problem will be is what denial is there to deal with it? Absolutely none other than impact trick. That's why Crazy Papillon will be there. Light will open up the top of the holes to make sure that he can get those impacts over. And as he stops and he misses exactly which side it is, or he doesn't actually, because they were in a double Selma throw. Too low to deal with it, and now they're just going to have to start throwing these toxic babes out left, right, and center. Delay the push however you can, because with 60 full seconds left, FNATIC has so much time to work with. There's so much opened up, and they've got verticals inside Armory. So for me, once the Surya Gate is gone, it's only the shotgun that will do damage, and it's Mag's job to hold out on that.
Alfama tries to drop and trying to push his way up towards Pipes, and has just been taken out, I think, by Light at the bottom of that. So there's a small dent in the plans of FNATIC. Everything has gone so well. They had 3 Selmas down onto the church wall. The impact tricks went completely wrong. Everything has been opened up. They are in as perfect a position as they could ever want to be to go for this execute. But again, Siege showing that if you can't win your gunfights, you're going to lose a round. A 1 versus 3 left for Mag on that one. And despite FNATIC's excellent time management, had so much to play with. The setup was great. Church completely laid open for all to see. They could not win the gunfights, and Guts close out round number 1 quite convincingly and comfortably.
You would think, and as you rightfully put, you would think with so much opened up and so much for you to use as an attacker that you shouldn't be able to lose it. Sometimes, okay, it comes down to the simplistic losing your gunfights. I do think over towards blue, not being able to have that control was crucial for Fnatic. I think that's where that died very quickly and they had that vertical control over Armory. I do think that if you are going to push over towards a church breach, you're going to do that moto push, that the blue control needs to be established a lot earlier. Otherwise, you're putting reliance on people to win their gunfights against, short-range shotguns. You shouldn't be doing that. Light played that really well, didn't overexpose and force them into that short-range fight. Beautiful play. They're going to move all the way upstairs now. And if you look at the history of Guts defending the top floor after they go from the bottom, 9 times out of 10, it looks like, and I have the wrong map up, and I'm like, what? Piano? There's no piano on this map? What's going on here? Like, not Chalet? Bro, this is trolling me.
It's having you on.
All right. It's having me on. There we go. Actually, it's pretty good win rate on that, actually. They have a pretty good win rate downstairs, and they have a pretty good win rate upstairs.
I thought you were going to turn around and say, oh, it just goes bad, Des. And I was going to say, yeah, in the EU, we're seeing a lot of teams really struggle with defending this site at the moment because that East breach gets opened up in like no time at all. The number of teams that have employed this kind of double hard breach opening, right? Where it's a Thermite on one side of CC, the Selma goes on the other. And even if there's a Bandit Tricker, you just cannot keep that wall closed. Here, there's not even a Bandit Tricker. There's just a mute to contest with here. So they should have the ability to get these walls open rapid. Then we start focusing on the execute, the gunfights, the crossfires they're taking. Because one thing I'll comment on that last round, there weren't any crossfires. It was Alabama dropping solo, losing a gunfight. Light swung around and took another 1 versus 1. Despite the good setup they had, the gunfights definitely weren't given any advantage to Fnatic.
Well, as you said, they'll get that wall open up toot sweet, and as a result of the Thatcher still being on the board, it has allowed this map to be ripped apart in record time. None of this 20-second meta anymore, ladies and gentlemen. They have the opportunity to just get everything opened up pretty much for free. I think Guts is relying on a lot of those impact tricks. I am going to make the assumption that if Fnatic do a bit of a pinch push, they'll have those impacts flying at them. Speaking of flying at them, Tex, the big hitter from Fnatic, going down 2 rounds in a row with almost no impact there, at least in the frag department. I know he's been using Selmas to great devices here, but I think overall the impact that he usually has for Fnatic has not been showing up thus far. Maybe they're being too clinical here for Fnatic. Maybe they're focused too much on getting everything open and not enough on getting those coordination and pinch and frags.
They're definitely on the frag side of things. I mean, he's no Shaiko, right? We see what Shaiko can do. To say Tex isn't like Shaiko is maybe a bit of a disservice. He is a great fragger. We saw him pull out an ace last week, for example. We know what he can do. But look at Shaiko, who plays ace, almost religiously, and the kind of work that he does with it. It's not about dying early. It's not about taking all the entry fights all the time. But maybe then Fnatic has said, you know what? We don't really need the smokes. All we want you to do is get the walls opened up with the Selmas. And if you want to go and be an entry player, go and be an entry player. But Guts right now are the ones collecting these kills for free. Garage is going to stay defended. Fnatic spent a bit of time getting the garage wall opened up after opening the ECC breach. Just proven to be a little bit slow and confused, dare I say.
That Vulcan shield over towards the entry of Garage with a double ADS, I've not seen that one before at all, and I've watched a lot of Clubhouse games in my career, and that's a new one, and it's not often we get to say that there's a new little piece of gadgetry on this map. Crazy Papio with the Elder onto Mag, and this is looking very bad here for Fnatic. I don't want to say that their attacks are whimsical in any way, shape, or form. They do look collected, but look at this. They're going to take 1v1s, and that is not how you play this game. Not when you're going up against a Guts that knows exactly how to move around Clubhouse quite effectively. What game was it the other week where I just said, geez, Guts is at every window, not giving an inch to their opponents? I really want that game because that was impressive.
I think what's
Talent?
Maybe.
I'm going to get it up.
Okay, you have a look. And I was going to say, I can drop a couple of comments on it as well. The thing is for Guts, it's not like they're even like, traumatizing Fnatic around the map here on the roam and just saying, well, anytime you try and enter the building, we're there to greet you. The last 2 rounds, they've played site-based comps. They've played this kind of old school utility, well, not old school, but of 6 months ago, the utility meta of back then, of the Goyo, the Wamai, the Jaeger, the Smoke, for example. Here, even bringing the Frost along as well. And I'm just like, they're playing very static on site. And for Fnatic, it should be easy to manipulate that into favorable gunfights, dumping utility onto operators that are slightly isolated. But so far, we just haven't seen that.
Yeah, it was against Talon, I believe, and I say 173 absolutely blasted through Talon. So I know that I've seen a really confident Guts, especially on the defensive side. You are right, though. They are employing a bit of a wait-and-see strategy. They're letting FNATIC fall into their own crossfires, into their own crosshairs, and that's a strategy I really love from defenders because time, I mean, if you can play time as a team, that is going to work to your advantage 9 times out of 10, unless you whiff your shots. Sometimes it just comes down to you missing your shots, and that's okay. You can fix those kind of things, but you can't fix a bad strategy on the fly sometimes. So for me, I'm loving the shield play. Something we're seeing a lot more from teams. Bring in the Vulcan. I saw it on Cafe yesterday at EU. Triple shields from Team Vitality. Look at how many shields Guts want to bring onto the playground here that they're ripping apart for Jim. I like it. And pull down the stats again. How do they do on Jim? Oh, they have a positive win rate on it. Not surprised.
And they've got everything set up here for a decent site defense. You touched on the shields a second ago, and often not so much criticism, but the observation of teams that play on this site is they will always extend out into CC, stick a shield in red, reinforce the CC wall, for example, just to try and waste as much time as the attackers as you can, so you can prevent them playing on the south balcony. And you must be joking. That one's as easy as it gets. Stiggs with a free kill through the drone hole here, as we saw Crazy Papillon trying to rotate out of bathroom. That's a nice early advantage for FNATIC. They've got the wall opened up. They're ignoring CC altogether. I do get nervous about the fact you've only got one angle of attack here, but at least it started good in the first 60 seconds for FNATIC.
Euro wants to get aggressive on this breach. If he can get a pick back and trade off, it's going to be huge. Oh, no. What? Tex is thanking his lucky stars after that one. That's the Vector. Wow, that is a tongue twister and a half, you ask me. That the Vector did not have enough ammunition in the mag to be able to rip through the rest of him. He was 1 or 2 bullets off from death there, absolutely. And, whew, I mean, you're a buddy. Wow, aim higher.
There's a question. Look, gun aside, ammo aside, like, that was the biggest freebie I think you're ever going to find when he's locked in the animation and can't shoot back. Like, holy hell. Bit of a whiff. So almost another gift, I think, for FNATIC in this round where they're not losing a player who's being caught out on the breach, but in comes Stiggs and JJ just a little bit better. Nice red dot on top of the shotgun, by the way, blasting his way through this wall, finds a second as they peek onto him one at a time. They've also jumped into a goddamn frost mat. What is it with frost mats this week in both regions, EU and APAC? Absolutely traumatizing teams.
Oh no, Lily is just Lily is just bullying Tex at this point, and he's had a really bad time outside this breach, so surely he's going to replace himself because you don't want to go through that again. Hatch is surely open, yes it is, and a smoke bay will rain down through it. Oh, this is awful for Tex. He's barely a whiff of health. Not going to see a clutch out of here unless he pulls one of those beautiful little ace moments that we saw on Villa the other day. For me now, it's an opportunity for him to talk to his team, let his team work out what's going wrong. Finally, he goes down to the electric charges of the clash, but Guts now walking away with multiple rounds. You can see him laughing in the car. That's masochistic. That is
sadistic.
Wow. Yes, is that the word I'm looking for? Thank you.
I think it is. Yeah.
Mixed up. Jeez.
We're definitely not going too deep into that on the broadcast, that's for sure. But I think with the way it was set up there, I think, again, that was the biggest, like, not freebie, but advantage FNATIC could have had. They got the opening kill through a drone hole. Europe whiffs a whole mag into Tex, couldn't kill him, and I was like, man, they're 5 versus 4, and they've survived what should have been a freebie for the other side. Like, boys, this is your time. This is the time to make something happen. Then they're going vaulting into frost mats. They're walking into JJ one at a time when he's wielding a shotgun in the bathroom area. They made that just a little bit too easy, I think, for Guts there. And it's almost like FNATIC have the good intentions with the setup. They're good at getting things open. But as soon as it comes to actually executing and thinking about what gunfights you're taking and when, it just falls apart.
Well, I do want to give a little bit of a breathing room to all the FNATIC fans out there and the Aussies out there like myself who are like, come on, FNATIC, you just had a big win against one of the big teams. Carry that momentum over here against Guts. Big thing to look forward to is the fact that, this is the worst way to put it, is that FNATIC only win overall since like September, October last year, 35% of their attacking rounds overall. So they are a very defensive-sided team, like very, very. And out of all of the teams here in APAC, like you compare them to what Guts is doing just on this map alone, and they win 60% of their defensive rounds on average, and then you go over to their attack, and they win over 40%. So I do think FNATIC is going to seem quite defensive-sided, and as a result, this first half might not really be indicative of what FNATIC has to show us for this matchup.
Yeah, my pain comes when I look back again at the history on this map. Having not won it in the last year at all, constantly dumpstered on it by any team they've come up against. It's not a good feeling to come into it, at least. And again, maybe today there was kind of a, right, we've had a good amount of time to look at this now. We want to make Clubhouse one of our maps now that Giants has departed the region, the kings of Clubhouse whilst they were here. It is looking a little bit shaky, and I commented earlier on how we weren't really seeing the defensive side of Guts playing off-site. This is the first time we are seeing them change away from playing that more utility-heavy setup, and they are indeed playing on that SSG-style roam with the smoke and the Aruni brought along in tow.
Well, Tex gets away for free here, and it's going to be Mag on top to be able to push Euro back so that he doesn't go collect that DBNO. That's really important, because if you can pick Tex back up, he still has 2 Selmas in hand. I know they were doing a bit of a roam, and as a result, possibly some of those hatches are opened up. I didn't spot those out, so I can't confirm for you, but Medics is listening on in. But no, they're all closed. So the roam was quite committed to, other than the blue hatch being, being soft and being able to be dealt with by other operators. My big key point here will be those Selmas still in check, Alphamus Exothermic still in check, and Tex, after he's picked up, he gets a kill.
Not so bad. Oh, they've actually collected them completely on their own. I was going to say, 90 seconds into the round, to only just be getting Jacuzzi open and starting to push your way in is a big deal. But Guts have been trying to take these firefights all round and losing spectacularly. FNATIC with a flawless round off a little bit of over-aggression from Guts, something that we haven't really seen from them in 3 rounds and has worked. The roam-based play has not worked. Is it time to go back to basics, boys, and just play on site?
I mean, what's the saying? Don't change what ain't broke. Like, if it worked 3 rounds in a row and you were just sitting on site with Vulcan shields, deployable shields, you had mute jammers in tow, now you got the evil eyes, like why did you feel you needed to just let that all go? I do think when you put these 2 teams head to head and look at the ping on the board, all right, these teams are very evenly matched here on ping. There is no argument for ping anymore. In fact, it's better for FNATIC on the server today. So there is no ping argument when it comes down to mechanical skill. If I put some of the FNATIC players head-to-head with the Guts players, I would put my money on FNATIC. So don't fight a losing fight when you can win based off of strategy alone.
I think for Guts here, right call going back to what we said a second ago, playing onto this comp again, and as you say, don't just go boil it down to fights again, especially when FNATIC were lining up so many 1v1s for you the previous time round. Want to force it back to how it's worked out for you so well before. So the onus now kind of flips back to FNATIC to be the ones that adapt and deal with the changes coming in from Guts. They couldn't deal with it the first 3 times round. Now's the time to show that you can, hopefully using that last round as a little bit of a motivational boost to get you in the zone.
I don't think anything's really changed here. My big stickler will be, does JJ put that shield down on the garage door with the double ADS again? Now that FNATIC have seen it, have noticed that there was a double ADS because they tried to Ash charge it. Good night, Lusty. Sleep tight, my man. Shield is there as Medic flashes in front of our eyes, but you know what's gone? 3 Ash charges, possible Claymore or breaching charges, and the big hitting gun of Lusty. And when I say big hitting, I mean usually, because he's down bad today.
He is down bad, and Tex, who we kind of, talked about dying twice in the opening 2 rounds before really getting a chance to even fire his gun, is in a spot where he's currently sat as the top fragger. No huge surprises there, but poor Lusty trying to make something happen on the Ash. Next to nothing coming just yet.
That evil eye, it had gotten EMP'd, but just before it got EMP'd, he moved it up to the roof so you couldn't shoot it. Brilliant play from Crazy. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that good Maestro players will have complete autonomy over their evil eyes and know exactly when to move it, when to reach it to the roof, etc. It can keep the longevity of your evil eye exponentially through a round. So now they have to deal with it again, and if he's smart, he'll push it back up to the roof.
Yeah, and without the Ash and no Zofia on board because they've got the Capitao instead, this is going to be a real war to try and deal with this, I think. It's still there in this case, and now they're going to have to start thinking about the play to come in behind the Capitao. It's why you bring this operator. It's all about pinching down Aroma, burning them out, or going for an execute with those smokes whilst cutting off rotates. But they keep on saying, yeah, guys, it's still there. We need to deal with it. But how do we do that? We don't have any tools left that can.
Yeah, they are literally out of options here to be able to deal with you. You'd literally have to hope that it opened on up to zap and that you could shoot it. That is all that's left. No EMPs to open it on up. I mean, You're a fish out of water if you're Fnatic right now. Oh, unfortunate there. Lily will get spotted out and Oil Pit have to rotate back, and Crazy, well, he's got a Vulcan shield in front of him, gives him the superior angle, but Alphama doesn't care. He's going to put him into the ground, and Yura across the map will get the trade back for the likes, and a double for the trouble if you don't think that will be confirmed if they can get the angle over towards Tex, but it doesn't matter because the final remaining Fnatic player is too far to deal with him.
So surely is going to see him for a second as he swings around, but no, doesn't even need to in this case. You are right, though. The 1 versus 3, clearly, this is the setup for Guts. They know that it can work. They know what they can do with it in this case. But to me, that's it, like walking in blind and getting traded out again straight after. Even if Alphama did hit a good shot, he knows he's in trouble here, knows that one's inside blue, knows that one's on red, can see the gun, surely not quite. Now he can, sees the head and collects that one. The swing not quite going to come out just yet. There it comes. Light's going to collect it out as Yura confirms that down kill onto Tex. That's going to be Guts taking round number 5 and moving up to 4-1 here in the first half.
Jeez, how night and day is it when Guts roams and then when Guts, let's say, does a default turtle meta strat? It's like, to me, it's like, wow, Guts, you're amazing when you just do the on-site, crossfire, use your utility, you're amazing. And then when you roam, stop throwing bodies. It looks a little bit amateur. Keep to what you're good at. To me, it's night and day what works for them. And now that we get into the last round of defense, they're going to bring on the Clash again, double down on it again, and go to a site where if you do it right, and they're going to 6-pick it to the Jaeger, that's fine, because considering Ace has been using their smokes a lot to block lines of sight, that works well. My big thing will be they're on a site with a very particular composition that screams to me that they hopefully will do a bit of a turtle hold, especially with the Vulcan shields. Fnatic just not able to rip that apart yet, and I mean, this is their last chance to do it.
Thinking about them on this site, I just remember the really kind of painful, awkward execute earlier on with the Moto drop, where it was like Alphama goes in, gets shotgunned out, then someone else comes down, gets shotgunned out again. It kind of doesn't matter what advantage they're giving themselves in terms of time or strategy, in terms of what was opened up. They were still just losing the gunfight. So I want to see something a little bit better get set up here, because it's the second time that we saw them. Doing bedroom was the last one when they walked into JJ with the shotgun. I was just like, man, something needs to happen here. You need to not get yourself in that head-to-head against someone like Light, because then it's going to blast you to the high heavens with that shotgun.
And Light played that really well, even though the entire triple wall was opened up. And I'm not even exaggerating when I'm saying that. Literally all 3 Selmas were used on each 3 panels. So it was opened up to no end. So for me, for him to sit there very calmly with the shotgun at the Moto door, brilliant. That's a missed opportunity there, though. I think they could really capitalize on the fact that this drone is spotting out the player. They tried and they failed, ladies and gentlemen. And that Vector is absolutely shredding. Whether it was the spawn peek before in the opening kill that he was able to get, he now doubles down on him. Rather than Lusty being his victim, it's Stigs. That's a huge hit, because I guarantee he had some of those breaching charges and some of the utility they desperately needed.
I bet they're asking the question of what the hell do you do here? Like, they had a drone at his feet the whole way in. They knew that he was in lounge. They knew that he was lurking around. Even Tex was droning forward to say, yep, okay, still there, still there, still there. They swing on him, and JJ still finds the kill. There have just been so many cases of Fnatic being outgunned here by Guts, and it's leading to kills like that if you looked at it on paper, it's almost like one of those, if you did a situational test and said to someone, right, player is pushing through garage, there's a player in lounge. Attacking player has a drone in front of them, who wins? 9 times out of 10, you say, oh, the droning player, because he's got extra intel, like maybe the defender shoots the drone and can't shoot the player in time to flick up. That's the way you imagine it's going to go. Not in this case. Absolutely not.
Yeesh. JJ's been in the competitive scene for a very, very long time, so I'm not surprised that he knows how to, critically engage with someone who's being live droned. It is not a new mechanic by any means. It's something that teams have been doing for years and years and years. So I'm not surprised. However, Fnatic, they can still pick this back up here and show us that they can attack. As you guys remember very, very vividly from last year, in APAC, we attack. So come on, Fnatic, you gotta pick it on up here, because otherwise Guts, when they get onto their attack, will have a lot of buffer rounds to work with.
A hell of a lot to play through here. Yep, 5 versus 4 for Guts as we get into the final 60 seconds or so. And Fnatic once again are in a spot where they've got the right things opened up. They've got the holes in the floor. They've got the hatches open. Even got drones sat on them, giving that information back and forth if required here as well. So now the question comes from Guts is, okay, now what are you going to do? Where are you going to push? Where does the execute come in? And do you expect to be able to beat us in gunfights? Because your track record don't look so hot. With the drones coming into Arsenal, it looks like there's either going to be a push in here through the Ash wall as well as a drop at the same time. So got a couple of angles of ingress to make something happen. But whether or not this comes off of FNATIC, it relies entirely on hitting those shots onto key players like Lily, because they've got the cut coming down the main hallway here that leads into site.
Kitchen hatches open, and guess what? One goes down an oil pit. That was the pinch play there, Des. And oh
GG.
no, all of a sudden for Guts. Don't call it GG already. Give them some time to work with it here. I know you're caster cursing it. I'm going to give FNATIC the benefit of the doubt that Lusty can pull out a single kill. And hey, I mean, he did the round before, but it's not going to be this one. And Guts are absolutely dominating FNATIC on their defensive half. Will FNATIC be able to do the same on the flip side? Because they're going to need to if they want to collect any more points. And if we bring up the standings here, which I'm pretty sure everyone's going to be very, very interested in, FNATIC are 1 point above Guts on the standings currently. If Guts walk away with a full win here, which it's looking very likely considering they have 4 rounds of buffer to work with on the second half, then they will overtake FNATIC. They'll also overtake a couple other teams who are yet to play today, so we'll see how that settles at the end of the day. But they will absolutely jump above both Damwon and FNATIC on the leaderboard, and that is something FNATIC cannot let happen.
Oh, it's just painful. I mean, again, looking at that round, Medic's like gave us a really good view as to what was going on. You saw the cut coming in from the bottom of main stairs. You could see they had 2 engineering behind smokes to go for a drop through kitchen and go for a default plant. We've seen it 1,000 times on this map, Jess. And we only saw 1 player from Guts having any presence inside of Arsenal. All the rest were either down inside of Blue or were inside of Church. And I thought, okay, this, again, is one of those on-paper situations where if you presented it to me, I'd say, yeah, the attackers have got a pretty good chance of being able to pull this off. What happens instead is they drop through, 2 get downed near instantly, Euro swings up through Blue and then pushes into Arsenal and guns down the final 2. It's just... Guts just feel much more responsive and frag heavy today, I guess it's a good way of describing it, against FNATIC. And I'm wondering here, sure, we saw 1 rough round from Guts when they tried to play the roam-based play. They got completely clapped. It was a flawless round for FNATIC. Which side of Guts are we going to see on the attack? Are we going to see that more kind of gunfight heavy, ready for anything on the attack sort of style? Or are we going to see that kind of weaker gunfight style that we saw coming out when they played on the roam?
Speaking of the roam, this is a huge roam from FNATIC here. They are making sure that the entire map is their playground. They're not going to give any of it up. Mags over towards CC. Tex is over opening, rotates to Jim. I mean... Where's the other Lusty's on main stairs? Alpha's in dirt so that no one rushes it, which is the mainstay counter for this particular kind of hold, where you roam all the way out the map with multiple players and you have hatches open. So Guts, they're going to play into FNATIC's game here. Looks like they want to do a bit of a roam clear. Lusty needs to be very careful because the rappel is happening right behind him. My inkling is that they're going to realize very quickly a lot of people are off site, and I think they do want to do the counter here by going straight through dirt.
Lusty. If only, I imagine he gets an angle here onto someone hot, currently crouched down on a drone just outside of the tunnel. I think it's JJ that he would have seen. But JJ's going to get in just safe. If only he tried to go for it. Surely the call would have come in that, there's a Selma breach that has come through. And with most of the players on the road, they're now going to have to drop that down to site. 2 come down through oil, sticks collecting onto Euro 4 versus 5. Not a bad start for FNATIC as they have responded in kind to the aggression coming out of Guts down dirt. And with them now stalling out, this probably isn't going to be as easy as they hoped it would have been.
What a shame. They should have had a drone in stock and they would have identified that the hatch was wide open. That is exactly where Stig was standing, over the blue hatch. That's why you rush dirt, ladies and gentlemen, because there's no hatches to stop you from doing that one. Had they rushed in dirt, killed the only player on site was Alpha with a Vector, they would have had complete armory control. Alas, they give that all on up and are now going to completely lose 2 minutes of the round, 1 whole player. They have to decide exactly what it is they're going to do now. Surely this gets Impact tricked out, and throwing both of them onto the hatch was a misplay. Goodbye, Selma charges. And now you have none left to play with. Mind you, 2 exothermics though, Des.
Got to rotate him round is the problem. That's another 10 seconds. And why do you want to try and peek? I don't know if he's being hopeful there that he can get something off the back of it and deny the impact nade coming out. But with that, has probably thrown the round away. Lusty the only one in, but JJ gets in with a double kill. Is traded back out. There is still light at the end of the tunnel for Guts here if they can pull back a 2 versus 3 in the final 30 seconds. But they don't have the diffuser. That is cold on the ground. Alfama has still got eyes into blue, and they're thinking about this drop into stock here as that kind of Hail Mary. But again, with grenades coming in, it telegraphs everything that's going to be coming in for FNATIC.
I guess a token of a smart player like Alpha is he hears the EMP, he blacks on up, and it means that he won't get grenaded. And guess what? An experienced player can also hit heads, and hit heads he does. Really good round there from FNATIC. If you want to commit to a roam, you better have a big redundancy plan in place in case you get dirt rushed. I'm telling you, Guts had the right idea. They just executed it really poorly, and the redundancy rotate back from FNATIC was perfect. Blue hatch open, someone playing directly on it. I mean, beautifully responded to. It's almost like every player rotated back within a single second. It was awesome. So when I said that FNATIC was a defensive-sided team, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. They're putting it on show for us.
They are indeed, and with that roam as well, the SSG style roam that we see a lot of teams employing over the last year or so since SSG first kind of concepted it, is that generally what happens is you can get from the top floor down to the basement again in 7 seconds. You can drop through those hatches lightning quick. Construction hatch, you drop, run across to the bar hatch, drop down, you're back on site, you're ready for action, you're ready to join the fight. But I think the big one there, as you touched on, I think one player came up oil. It wasn't him who got the kill. It was the player that dropped down through the stock hatch into blue. And I think it was killed Yura in the back that really upset them a little bit there and stopped that attack in its tracks. If they had that blue control and it stayed in the favor of Guts, they probably would have committed to that push coming through from dirt. But otherwise, again, you're walking into the end of a barrel if you're just trying to push in there blind without full control. And they knew that. So maybe a bit more pace from Guts would have been good for them. But then at the same time, getting caught out the way they did was painful. Jess, I'm sure you're dying to talk to me about this mirror window that's currently on the CC wall. I cannot remember the last time I've seen this. Maybe in ranked in silver a couple of seasons ago. I don't know.
When a lot of teams will rely on an exothermic to get a wall opened up, it is 9,000 times easier to bandit trick if you can see them. You're not going to miss, like I'm thinking of aces from EUL recently who missed the panel like 3 times just based off the fact that he misheard which panel it was put on. If there's a mirror window in there, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You see it. It's live in front of you. You can't get it wrong. And if you do, well, then you deserve to lose the wall at that point. And I think that's exactly what they've done here is Alpha was going to run the mirror anyway. He's going to put one, I believe, over towards Raid. Yes, he does, looking over towards construction. So why not put the second there? I mean, how are you going to deal with it?
It's interesting for sure. I do worry that we're going to see a similar style to what a lot of teams have been employing in EU, where you thatch the wall, you have the Selma on one side and the exothermic on the other. There's the exothermic, but he's going to get away with both. They mistimed it. No! They've lost the exothermic, they've lost the Selma. Damn.
You know what they relied on? The concussion in the drone hole. The door is closed, ladies and gentlemen. Go to the CC window, shoot it open, because guess what? You can't concuss a player when there's a barricade between them. Don't be an idiot. That was amateur. Go again, Guts, if you want to try it. Oh, no.
Oh, I mean, Tech's just literally turning into a one-man army with this mirror window in assistance. Has the hole opened up downstairs if anyone does try to push through storage to give him something to think about. And that was that early kill from the roof all the way down through garage. Thank you very much, Medics, for showing us that one. That was onto Mag, who was playing around inside a garage. Unfortunate.
They're going to go for the below, and oh, that tight angle there from Tex. Good luck. I mean, he's just better than you. He honestly is just better than they do manage to open up the top right of the window, and they'll pop the mirror as well. They even impact trick. Did that end up working? My worry here is, does part of that mirror window stop the vault? Yes, it will. So as a result, they will have to vault in on the bottom or on the sharp right of that, and that is the least safest way to go into that breach. He'll rotate his other bandit over towards the wall on red. There's no Habana on the lineup, so they're not going to be able to work with that anyway. I mean, sheesh. FNATIC, they've just outplayed Guts before they can even get into the building. And when 40 seconds left, it's just going to come down to frags. I hate for rounds to just devolve this way, but that's exactly where Guts have led this.
It's going to have to come down to all aggro, absolutely. And Garage is still in possession of FNATIC right now. Despite the early kill onto Mag, it still has the one my player Sticks holding above. They've now got to start pushing the way up the stairs and think about pushing him out. A nice CMP from below should deny away at least any ADSs that are sat up there. In this case, he knows the grenades are coming singing in. Takes True to take the fight, but Yura collects it 4 versus 3 for Guts. They have started to swing it back. Admittedly, only the 1-for-1. After the early kill onto Mag, still means it's still a numbers advantage for Guts, only ever so slightly.
Ooh.
C4 from Tex connects onto JJ. Down he goes. The plan's got to come through, but Alfama is sat back as well. He would have had the C4 ready, but he's been put down by Yura. Plans coming in. Is there anywhere to know? They're not even planting, guys. Oh, does he go down?
Yeah, he was
DVNO'd
in garage.
Got shot from window.
On the
Unlucky.
rafters, yeah. And that was a shame because not that I think the Sledge shouldn't have had the diffuser at that point, but the Sledge shouldn't have gone to the window when there was an opening to go plan on default. That should have just been the play to begin with, especially when you heard that C4 already expended below. That's an opportunity for you to play a default. They don't really have anything to counter your plan. I do think that they had an opportunity to possibly win that round if they'd focused on the objective. I did say it would probably devolve into quite vulgar gunfights at the end, and it did. But Guts did quite well under the pressure considering. Do I think they win the round after that swing into cash? Maybe. The Bandit was on red. So if you start getting a player down, you buy yourself some more time, you win your gunfights. Might be a bit of a different story here, but it doesn't really matter because in the end, FNATIC, they are recollecting the rounds we said that they absolutely needed to get themselves back into this matchup.
It's funny because you could wind back probably 60 seconds and look at the scrap that was going on to get the CC wall opened up before, 90 seconds to open that wall? We're so used to seeing it inside 45 seconds. But because they left it so late, you saw exactly how things break down. You have no time left for the execute. You're relying on finding those frags on the push through. And as pointed out, as soon as a player gets down on the push through, even if you've got cash control at that point and have denied the C4 player, the round's going to end thanks to the clock. It does keep FNATIC in the game. They're now at 5-3. And when it sat down at 5-1, we had some questions. But Guts so far looking a little bit shaky on these attacks.
I don't think shaky is the word I would use. I would say I'm thoroughly disappointed for a team that has a higher attacking win rate than FNATIC to be pulling the rookie mistakes that they're pulling is a little odd to me on a map that they're very familiar with, unlike FNATIC. So I'm absolutely going to criticize a team that does really basic fundamental mistakes when you're getting, you're doing a fundamental push. It's nothing crazy. There's no wild strategy being employed here. They stuffed up the dirt rush. They stuffed up getting the wall open when there's a mirror window on it by concussing a barricade. I want to see more from them because honestly, that has not put a lot of confidence in how I'm looking at them into future attacking rounds.
Okie dokie. Well, let's see how Dream Bedroom goes. Again, one round, and they can force this through to overtime. Imagine they'd switch back over to the other side. Things wouldn't look so grim, but defense seems to be where it's at here on Clubhouse. It's almost like we step back into a time machine and travel back 12 months, because back then, that was the meta on this map. Defenders were the kind of ones that reigned supreme. One or two teams did okay. Is he playing the strategy again, by the way, with the clan? Yeah, he is.
So
brilliant.
This was first popularized. Yeah, this was first popularized, I believe, by Ysera and Giants on this exact map on the CCTV side, however. And rather than them being able to concuss the drone hole, the shield of the Clash turned back around, will bounce the concussion back out of the drone hole and stop them from being able to put anything inside there. Whether it's bullets, whether it's concussion, whether it's grenades, whatever they're going to use will bounce back out onto the attacker. And if it's grenade, even better, it will kill them. So I love this strat. It's not been used for yonks and yonks. It works though, so hopefully Alfama sticks to it.
Does rely on you having the CC controller, or at least not giving them control of the other side, as then someone can go onto the south balcony and start pressuring you from outside gym window. So I think quite sensibly Guts has said, right, for us to get to the point where we can pressure the Clash away from playing on that wall, we need to go and worry about taking control of CC. And I think with FNATIC acknowledging that CC is going to be the focus, they've actually chosen to dial away entirely and said, right, there's no point sitting there playing this drone hole anymore. We can move away and look. In fact, no, he's gone back there. He stepped off and started moving around the corner. I was like, maybe they're bailing on it, but nope, they stuck it out for even longer. Double down, why not?
Yeah, I'm just seeing exactly what this little scuff is about downstairs. Yura's obviously droned out Tex here, and they're obviously still aware that that roam is happening. I wouldn't say it's a very detrimental roam from Tex. He's not in a position to do really any damage from anyone. If they hold the flank correctly, things will be all locked off for Guts quite well. But they've struggled on the time that he's back. Where did that go? Oh, on the ground. Good, easy pickup. I was like, oh, that's going to bounce away. Nevertheless, that's going to be too high to bolt into, so they're going to have to swing on in from a rappel. But either way, I don't think they're going to use it. My problem is, now that you're down to 50 seconds and I said Tex wasn't going to do any damage, I love being proven wrong. Yet again, he did that last time, do you remember?
No, I don't.
It was Tex, yeah? Impacted and run out.
I think, wasn't that the window that you jumped up onto, kitchen window? To go for the player that was looking on the construction wall. Yeah,
no, this happened the other day as well, yeah. I'm sorry I can't correctly give you who it was. But yeah. He's just vanished into the depths of nowhere. I believe he's gone upstairs near logistics.
No, I meant light. I was like, where's his body gone? We couldn't quite see it though, so heaven knows at this point. Now Medics is like, right, I'm on a war. I need to find this body. Where is it?
Poor Medics. He's going to focus his last 10 seconds. Guts have to go on in, and they're just going to have to make a flurry of everything, Des. Come on, my man. We've got to keep our eyes on the prize here.
Doing
the prize
the
is killing the diffuser. Oh, Stiggs. He's the big difference maker there because, again, timing. Diffuser was in hand. Diffuser planter goes down in bathroom. Just plant next to the reinforcement, bro. Yeah, nope. Can't break that down any more than they had 10 seconds left. Diffuser in hand, didn't plant. Just weird. Just really strange.
Yeah, Medics just said an area weird round. I was like, I think I agree. I mean, it's another one that's come down to timing again, where all the action happens in the dying seconds. The same as we saw back in the first half a few times from FNATIC's executes, for example. It just seems to kind of be the same problems that we saw for FNATIC on their attack are also now bleeding across somewhat towards Guts, except looking somehow even scrappier because the prep isn't done right either. It's very weird.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Well, at least FNATIC are now bringing it back to a closer scoreline. We didn't want it to be a one-way affair because I don't really think, especially when you look at the standings, I know I keep bringing up the standings, but Guts are in 7th place. That is the second last position on the standings. There are only 8 teams in APAC North, and as a result, being second last on 4 points, okay, down one's on 4 points as well, so it is a close race, but you need to be getting points now as we are entering the last few playdays of this particular stage if you want to put yourself up, you know, above the bottom 3. Bottom 3 doesn't bode well for you going into future stages. You're lacking points for the future stages as well. This all collects up. The new system's quite advanced, and I won't go through it now, but if you do want to check it up, I do strongly suggest looking at Liquipedia and seeing how this, you know, sort of evolves as the year goes on.
Okay, let's talk about this setup a little bit then, just as well. The mirror has been a staple of FNATIC's defense so far. They've loved bringing in all the rounds they've played into so far, so not too surprised to see it returning once again here for a basement defense. Well, with no Jaeger being present, the Vigil again for the Roam, and also a Bandit coming along here. Now, we don't see Bandit on the downstairs all too often anymore. For a while, we used to see it as the kind of go-to must-bring to defend Church Wall, but a lot of teams have sort of steered away from it. So do you think this kind of lean back towards seeing the Mirror and the Bandit being brought along quite a lot is a kind of a throwback to the old way of playing? Maybe FNATIC haven't brought along the kind of like modern style that we see a lot of teams employing on this map, or do they just still think it's that strong?
I don't know if it's maybe a little bit of an addition of, okay, he's also got the C4 and I can use that to my advantage. It's also a really good way to bandit trick a Thatcher. I mean, with Thatcher in play, the only way you are going to counter it is by bandit tricking. I hate to make it that simplistic, but that is literally it. And whether or not it's the OG way of dealing with hard breach when you have a Thatcher in play, I don't care because it works. And Stiggs has shown that it works, especially in regards to mirror windows. So I do think this is a superior way to deal with a Thatcher. A lot of these players have been playing for years and years and years, all the way back to like season 2 or whatever it was. So I think it's a viable strategy against the Thatcher, and yeah, I've got nothing more for it.
We'll see how it shapes out as well. 90 seconds in, we're not really seeing too much yet in the way of pressure or setup coming out of Guts. Only now are they still starting to think about getting inside a kitchen, for example. And we've seen what pressure can do to them. 2 rounds so far have gone down the pan to time in the dying seconds because they didn't leave enough time in the early round. Well, didn't efficiently use their time in the early round to get themselves set up. Yeah, they're thinking about the kitchen, but after the last time round, with the impacts come swinging up and then the kill peak out coming through, I'm starting to think maybe the questioning as to whether or not it's actually safe to even think about taking kitchen. And there is a pre-placed C4. Thank you very much, Medics. Highlighted, ready and waiting on the south side of this hatch. That could catch someone out if they are not ready for it.
We can see Mag waiting. He's waiting for the indication that someone's coming on closer. Lusty, he has not had the game that I'm sure he's absolutely been dying to have, especially with the impact of frags that he's meant to have. Oh, that was not well placed and well timed there from the attackers. Usually you have someone throw the Selma charge on and then, you know, actively challenge it as they're trying to open it. No, they did manage to get that impact trick off. How many Selmas are left here for the attackers? Zero.
No
how many exothermics? That's all right. You can let it out for me, Des. No problem. So we can both have a little look on the board as them running down to the last 10 seconds. Walk us through it, Des.
Oh, they're going through that charge through. We've seen this quite a few times in EU lately as well. Just going for a very aggressive push in, but Tech's going to find one, gets stoned by Yura coming in. Mags also coming down from dirt. Alfama's looking in towards blue. They've got some coverage here, but the plant has gone down. Alfama finding Yura out, who's had a bit of a game so far. Mags swings and takes one down. It's into a 2 versus 2. And JJ holding the long angle. He sees the backside stick out, but can't quite connect. Mag will finally fall. Now it's a 1 versus 2 for Alfama. Got to find a way to swing this one back, and pushing in through Kitchen. Maybe able to find a kill, but of course can't go dropping through that hatch. Sees the man for an absolute freebie. 1 versus 1 against Light, who's now hung way back inside a church. There's 15 seconds to play. Alfama needs to get downstairs. I think he's already out of time, Jess. There's no way in 5 seconds he gets to the diffuser and gets a kill. Looks like Guts will move it to 6 points and guarantee that we at least go to overtime. But who knows if they can make this end at 7-4 or 7-5 just yet.
Well, that one there is how it will look when Guts can finally get a plant down. When they finally are successful with an objective play, it works. And I think Guts as a team, somehow, some way, and maybe it's just against FNATIC here, but when they play the objective, whether it's defensively or attacking sided, they just absolutely cripple FNATIC. I don't know what it is about FNATIC not being able to deal with teams clearly here today that are really strongly focused on the objective, but finally Guts show that if you do get that plant, hey, things can work out for you. Match point there for Guts as you see at the top, and we'll go into a quick little timeout. You can see the little pointer pointing towards FNATIC because quite obviously you need to stem the momentum and the blood that is spilling out where now that you're 2 rounds deficit from the side of Guts.
Yes, looking a little bit shaky at that point, I guess. Like, knowing now you've got the pressure against you where Guts have just got to get it right once in 3 rounds and they can close this out. Job done. They haven't instilled tons of faith to say that they can do it right in 1, I think. I mean, that round there was still messy. They couldn't get Kitchen Hatch open. They've gone through both exothermics. They've gone through their Selmas. Again, stacking utility. So 1 impact clears out 2 Selmas. Not quite the best call for them, but ultimately, when they can go for a push, they can just take it down into gunfights on site through the Ash Rush wall. Fair play. They do manage to close things out. But it almost kind of reeks of, I don't want to say desperation, but it's like just pure aggression. Like, you know, at some point, forget about the strats, forget about opening things up. Let's just go for the execute here and hope for the best in a way. It may work against FNATIC, who aren't really kind of stacking up against them when it comes to frags super well today. Against other teams, bigger teams in the competition, that's where I kind of have future concerns for teams like Guts.
Well, consistency is key for any team, and unfortunately for FNATIC, that is looking like that consistency we were begging for after a last week win against Cyclops Athlete Gaming is slowly going down the drain, and that really doesn't bode well when you're starting to lose against a team that is even lower ranked than you on the standings. That is something that I really have to put out there. And I mean, something else, even just from an individual player analysis here, I think we've not really touched on the players enough. I do truly think that even though Lusty's having a bit of an off game here, he often does. We've seen him be the clutch man for FNATIC last year and this year. So it's not to say that he's always been this way, but look on the side of Guts. Who is the player that's consistently standing up week after week? It's almost always Yura and JJ. Look back to what last week, they were also the 2 top rated players. So they come into this week, they do exactly the same thing. These 2 players being consistent, is that what's keeping Guts afloat here in these matches?
I think you could probably argue that yes, it is. Like, they are the big ones to step up and make things happen for them. Yura especially having one hell of a map, as we touched on just a second ago. And for JJ, it kind of reminds me of Cauxis and for Train Hard, right? Where despite being the support player, he frags the living hell out of some rounds, even running things like the Vector on the Goyo, for example, or here being on the Thermite. It's really, really positive to see that, knowing that someone in the backline can still have such a monumental impact. Let's see how this round plays out, though. FNATIC going for another similar sort of setup once more. But Mag, hanging around his storage, going to put Yura down for free? What? Why?
Wow,
were they trying to pinch?
I think they were. Yes, that was a really mismanaged pinch as well. And why is Light on the ace with 3 Selmas in pocket the one challenge the person? Like, I could argue the Sledge could have done it. I could argue that Thatcher, when they'd done their job, could have done it. I could argue there were 3 other operators that could have done it. Won't be the case. Grenade is perfectly timed finally. And guess what? Alfama gets punished for trying to punish Lily back. Wall gets opened up. And we finally see that Guts can open up that platform wall, even after I dared to call them rookies just rounds ago.
Absolutely. That reminds me a lot of a G2 throwback, a team that would often employ the grenade coming in from the west window to force the bandit player away, normally in tandem with some EMPs thrown on the roof above site itself to disable any ADSs or magnets present. You have both Exothermic and Selmas coming down onto the east wall at the same time. It is guaranteed to get open, and if you're lucky, you kill the player that's trying to trick on the other side at the same time. In this case, they didn't kill the player that was tricking, but did kill Alfama, who was hanging pretty close to that west window at the time.
Oh, that's smart. Block out the line of sight, force out that utility. Boom, it's gone. And even to the point where it gets shot, but Stiggs, he makes his presence known on the top of the barrage. They haven't dealt with him, but now they do. That is not a fight you should be winning. Plant is going down. Last time they got the plan, Daz worked out for them, but no. Got off the plant, went for the kill instead, and they're going to propel themselves into overtime here. I have a lot of questions for Guts. Are they starting on attack? They are.
Well, it's round 12 first, isn't it? Not just yet. One more round to go of normal time, then we'll see. Oh, you were talking about if it does go into overtime. We've got one more to go to bedroom first. Yeah. Man, like, the painful thing is that, like, it was really smart to smoke bait the C4, smoke out red, let the C4 come through, and then go for the push. And me and you were both like, yeah, but you've left the player inside a garage who's going to absolutely slaughter you. And
they challenge him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really understand. Like, the pressure wasn't there. There wasn't the crossfires being set up. Again, it's like almost like incomplete attacks or small elements of it that are done completely wrong. Like stacking utility inside a garage is the best way I can describe it. Inside a kitchen, sorry.
I liked that secret hold. In secret, some people call it storage, some people call it Adam, whatever you call it. Down where Mad was with an ADS next to him, he was playing the Jaeger with the carbine in hand. I like that aggressive hold. It's not a usual one, and it took Guts off guard. I mean, they tried to use an unorthodox kind of pinch push with an important operator on the window, and they couldn't even get the trade for it. So for me, I like what FNATIC are putting down strategically and positionally. My problem is that Guts, I don't think it's FNATIC outright winning these rounds. It's Guts kind of throwing them for free over towards FNATIC. I mean, how many rounds were they up in the first half before they've just let FNATIC sweep back? There you go. I mean, that's huge. Please work. I want to see it. I just want to see it work.
I think they droned it with Lee, and he was like, yeah, forget about it. Although maybe they pushed from this side, calling for a rehost, something gone wrong, potentially. Let
me see. Bugged. Where is Tex? He says it looks like he thinks that he's stuck there. He's certainly not. So that must be client side for him. Because he's certainly not stuck on our side, ladies and gentlemen.
I think he is.
He'll continue happy feet there. I will wait for the admin's call, and that does come out to be a rehost. So sometimes there are.
The man just turned into a professional mime and was just like, "Help! I'm stuck. I can't get out of this box." It's one of those. But no, we'll go for a rehost, and it gives us a bit of time, I guess, to break down what we're kind of expecting in round number 12, right? Well, once again, seeing that setup coming through that you were really excited to see work of that clash, playing with the bandit, the castle reinforcements coming down, or the barricade, sorry, coming down into gym. It feels like such an old school setup, seeing that vibe, and I haven't seen it for the longest time. We mentioned last time how it was going to force Guts to have to push into CC, which they did do, but from there onwards, it just kind of all fell apart and turned into a bit of a chaotic rush in the dying seconds of the round.
My question for Guts is, and this has been a close game, so in no way do I want to diminish the performance of Guts so far. I think they were excellent on the first half. There's no doubt about it. Their attacks beg several questions of, one, when you come into a map like Clubhouse and there is a meta hold, I'm talking you've got a Thatcher to play with here. You know that they're either going to be bandit tricking or challenging or impact tricking, just as Guts had done on their defense. And then you don't know how to deal with it, or you have a half-baked plan to deal with it. And then once you've done it, you kind of just go, well, now we don't know what else to do. Like, where's the step-by-step processing here of the Guts players? Where's the IGLing and shot calling to say, they're going CCTV. Number one, deal with the panel, open it on up. Why are people challenging blue? It's not like the person can see full platforms, so just leave it. Okay, open up the mirror window, open up the wall, get a concussion in the drone hole. Oh, I can't, I've droned it out. There's a barricade on it. I can't do anything. No problems, let me go shoot it. Where's this problem solving, this critical tier 1 problem solving that teams are consistently putting in their attacks, which FNATIC did on the first half, maybe not to an avail of any type, but they at least showed they could adapt on the fly. Guts just kind of seemingly go, all right, well, everything else hasn't worked. I guess we devolve into gunfights again. Doesn't need to be that way. You've got all the tools you need.
We spoke about this a bit earlier on, and we kind of realized that we were coming to a kind of like, not a heads, but we were in agreement just in different ways of describing it, right? Where I was saying, oh, you know, a team kind of lacks identity. You were saying they're quite like bland in a way. Like you struggle to really see where they set themselves aside. And we had a discussion about Guts and said, you know, last year they were regarded as the aggressive team of Japan. You looked at Cyclops as being the very defensive one, the quite static one in a way. Fav kind of had both sides to them, but, you know, best of both, like greatest at none. And then Guts were the really aggressive team that really shone. And then what we've seen so far this season is every other team lean towards playing that sort of style. I think it's the meta change that we've seen where you have to be aggressive on defense. Guts clearly didn't get the memo. And even on attack, teams are looking a lot more structured. I just think Guts at the minute look a little bit, again, lost. Like you say, they're kind of missing that critical component to really be able to adapt mid-round and put together a coherent attack when new challenges are put before you. They just can't seem to adapt right now. I'm hoping they can. And like when it gets into overtime, that we have a good end to the game if it gets into overtime. But it's pretty fair to assume at this point that it will go to overtime.
I was looking at last year's results for Guts and looking at the overall standings as well as each phase. There's meant to be, 3 different stages a year. Unfortunately, we only had the 2 as we had started later in the year. So we only have those to look back on. They rated higher than FNATIC, and okay, FNATIC actually had some real problems back then when it came to technicality, so I'm going to, give them a benefit of the doubt here. But they did really poorly in the first phase. In fact, they only got 3 digits worth of points. Going into their second phase, that's where they collected almost all of their points in a mad rush to collect themselves up the standings and to climb up the leaderboard. They managed to place 6th, whilst FNATIC placed 8th. And the inconsistency of their overall scores was unbelievable for Guts. I'm talking like you put phase 1 next to phase 2 and you think it's 2 different teams. There's no way to compare them. You take the names off them and you go, this is not the same team. So I'm wondering if that inconsistency is why we're seeing sometimes, like against Talon, for example, on this exact map, they look amazing. They look brilliant. It looks like Clubhouse is their playground. They go up against FNATIC and they have to employ a completely different strategy, and their attacks look, dare I say, rather rookie and abysmal. I mean, both of these teams struggling on their attacks here today, and it's really, really clear.
Again, I always think back to when FNATIC played on Clubhouse at the very start of stage 1 of last year and how the attacks were very kind of one-dimensional. They often slipped at kind of key parts, made it very predictable for the other side of Scars to know what was going on. Let's see how this one concludes. It has turned into a bit of a scrap, but we are seeing some good defenses coming out of FNATIC here in the second half at the very least. The mirror proving to be quite a pain in the backside for the attackers of Guts. And it does feel like overtime is abound if it gets into that final best of 3. Did you find out who's starting on what side, by the way?
Well, didn't the map pick go to Guts? So they wouldn't have... They would have got the choice of overtime.
Yes,
and
that's
then,
it,
and then Guts would have got overtime, and Guts surely would have picked defense as their overtime pick. I mean, you'd be crazy to pick attack. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. FNATIC still have to win this round now that we're back into the game for them to even show us who's starting on what side. We'll get an indication as to what that will be should this round look to go FNATIC's way. But they have to pick the exact same operators. They have to do everything exactly the same. They don't have to necessarily set up the same way, but I'm sure they will. But that's because when you do a rehost at the start of the round, you got to pick the same ops. That is part of the rules. So that's why everything will look pretty damn similar. And hopefully Tex won't do the little happy feet over towards construction, and things will just keep going as per usual.
Got a hard avoid playing over there, it seems like this time round. Yeah, absolutely. So it is that same setup that we saw previously. Last played, I believe it was in round number 9. Was that kind of chaotic 3 versus 2 late round that for a time, actually, Guts did have the advantage in, only for Tex to collect the 2K and then things concluded on the time. So the clock has been, dare I say, Guts' biggest enemy so far. The number of rounds that have taken so long to get stage 1 done and then lead down to only a few seconds being left, it hurts. And how many times has this happened this game that someone has been shot out super early? This time around, it's Styx going hyper aggressive out of meat, I think. And it's going to be Yura to collect the kill. Clearly, was sick and tired of getting run out on in the previous round and was like, we're not having that one again.
Oh, Mag tried really desperately to get the trade as well. And a lot of people go, why would you do that? Why would you get aggressive after your teammate just died? Well, you're trying to even the number count. This is what we were talking about. They're attempting to find the toes here for Alfama, but he is expertly worked out exactly where to place his shield. That means that no one can cast it, and the bandit trick only gets one side. And now Mag gets a little bit of a breathing room to reinforce off bathroom. If they want that open, they're going to have to deal with another EMP, another bandit trick again. And that's why he's going to stay on in there to be able to work with that one. Do I think they get it open with only 2 EMPs, 1 Selma? Probably not. But sometimes for the attackers, it's better to just leave bathroom be closed.
I think given what we've seen from players like P4 recently, and even JJ on the other side of the equation being the one defending against it, the damage that can be done by a crouch walk or baiting aggressors into coming inside a bathroom, as again JJ showed us earlier on. So I think you're right, partly that maybe leaving it closer to play here and just looking towards Jim, for example, and letting them contest from the long angles inside a bedroom. But to do so, 1, they need to get Alfama outside of the hallway. 2, they need to get rid of the castle barricades and have someone playing on the south window. As always, that requires control of CC, which they do seem to have here, so it's not going to be the end of the world. I think they're in a position to make something happen, but now I've got to start putting the pieces together before the clock starts running down towards 0. They've got time, Jess, but we've seen how inefficient they've been with it so far.
Well, the biggest stopping power here for FNATIC is going to be Alfama on the Clash. I mean, how are they going to deal with it? The Zofia, she only has 1. She's got 2 concussions to work with left, so I do take that back. And they have a Claimer if they want to place that over the logistic hop. That would be a really sneaky place to place it, especially post-plan positioning. My problem is, given the placement of Crazy Papillon right now, I just don't really get what their intention for the plant is. Are they going to bait out some kills? Do they want people to peek them first? What's the play? Because we've got a 4v5, technically an escalated 5v5 considering it was an early pick, and no one's really done anything as we get down to literally the last 30 seconds and the Clash is still wide open.
Well, here we go. Again, the Clash is standing there, zapping the living hell out of them. Not just life, but also slowing them down to the high hell inside of logistics here. And that's the control they need to start looking for a plant if they want to go for a main area push. They've got full control of bedroom right now, so surely Jim is going to be the play, or trying to force their way in through construction, one of the two. Plant is going down. I can assume that's inside of Jim. Yes, it is, behind the reinforced wall. And there's no one on the side of FNATIC responding as they've all been pushed northward. Plant goes down. Have Guts nicked it here in round number 12 and snatched it away from underneath FNATIC's feet? Quite possibly, but again with the Clash on side, it may yet prove to be quite valuable for them. Mag beating the hell down on this castle barricade, doesn't want to tear it down in case someone is on the window. Just going to have to painstakingly go one after the other to get through it. We've got about 15 seconds to go before it is going to be the point of no return. Light brings down Lusty. Alfama is gone. Mag's all alone. He's going to have to get both kills here and keep this one alive. Goes for the bait plan. Out comes Crazy Papillon. Can't quite see him. Surely they know that he's going for this one. There's 2 seconds left. Bros don't fake almost just to the end, but Light does swing on it, and in round number 12, Guts will take the win away from FNATIC, and their woes of 2020 apparently continue into 2021.
Well, it looks like, unfortunately for FNATIC, that consistency and momentum will stall right here, right now, thanks to the hands of Guts, who, well, they finally worked out that when you get the diffuser down, even if you're in a man disadvantage, that means you win your attacking round. Go figure, huh? I mean, statistically, you win 70% of the rounds that you plant. So that completely worked into the hands of Guts here. And whilst it was a close one and a highly defensive-sided one until we got into the second half and Guts were able to finally work out some of their attacking rounds, FNATIC, they've got to go back to the drawing board and possibly just put Clubhouse on the burner, because a lot of the games we've seen them on hasn't really paid dividends for them.
I mean, 0-5 on Clubhouse in the last 12 months is going to be rough for FNATIC. They did look good on the defensive side there, but I think for both teams today, we knew that the attack needed a little bit of work. Either way, some interesting defenses coming out of Guts, a team that normally we regard as hyper-aggressive, showing out some really good turtle setups. I'm keen to see if that continues into future weeks. But let's go over to the desk and get their thoughts on this game.
Thanks so much, Jess. And Jess, back on the analyst desk with Hap and